Coming up on Access Tech Live.
Apple revamps the entire iPad lineup. Google unveils the Pixel 8a and enabling creators with technology.
This is Access Tech Live with Stephen Scott and Mark Aflalo. The latest in tech and accessibility every week. Follow us now and get involved at Access Tech Live.
Welcome to the show. I am Mark Aflalo. Stephen Scott is off for the next couple of weeks, but filling in his very important and big shoes is Sean Priest, the co-host of Double Tap Podcast, an AMI original podcast. Sean of The Shed. Sean, welcome to the show. Have you ever done this before, live TV for an hour?
Thanks, Mark. That makes me feel perfectly at ease. No, I haven't, but it's great to be here. Thank you.
You just got to pretend like it's another episode of Double Tap, and just you can't go back and fix the mistakes. But I'm really looking forward to it this week, especially with you here, because Stephen's not here. I get to really let loose and have some fun. I hope you do the same, okay?
Okay, I'll try my best. I'm sure I will.
I promise it's going to be painless. This week on the show, she's a model, actor, speaker, singer, and influencer, among so much more. Madison Tevlin is with us. Plus, speaking of influencers, Mara Lauren Hutchinson will also join us. We'll be diving into the creator economy a bit. Plus, what did Apple announce this week? Let's kick things off with the headlines.
Now, Access Tech Live headlines.
So what did Apple announce this week? In a pre-recorded media event on Tuesday, Apple made its first product announcement in several months, the new iPad lineup. We'll begin, as they did, with the new iPad Air. Here's Melody Kuda, Apple's Director of iPad Product Design.
The users choose a larger screen. We created a 13-inch model of the new iPad Air as well. The 13-inch Air has 30% more screen real estate than the 11-inch Air. The larger display gives users more space to express their ideas in apps like Freeform, or to see more participants in a video call on Zoom. It also provides more space to view multiple apps using Split View in iPadOS. And both displays have the same advanced features, so all your content looks absolutely gorgeous.
So that new iPad is available in two sizes, 11 and 13 inches. The new iPad Air features a 30% larger screen, a front-facing camera now repositioned to the landscape side where people are actually using it most, stereo speakers with better sound quality as well. It's going to be available in 4 colors. The new iPad Air starts at $799 Canadian dollars, with storage options starting at 128 gigs all the way up to 2 terabytes. You can order that now, and it'll be shipping or delivering as of next Wednesday. Moving on to the redesigned iPad Pro, this new tablet also comes in 11-inch and 13-inch variations and features a new thinner design that Apple said is even thinner than the old iPod Nano. The 11-inch weighs less than a pound, and the 13-inch a notch above a pound, just making them super portable and thin. Here's John Turnus, Apple's Senior Vice President of Hardware Engineering.
The 11-inch Pro is 5.3 millimeters thin, and the 13-inch Pro is an incredible 5.1 millimeters thin. Compared to the previous iPad Pro, the difference is striking. The new iPad Pro is even thinner than the iPod Nano, which makes it the thinnest Apple product ever.
The new iPad Pros also move the camera to the landscape side. They feature Apple's next generation M4 chip, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a couple minutes with Sean, and 10 times more power on board with a new OLED screen that has cool new technology with an optional nano-textured glass that is designed to reduce glare and improve the color. The new iPad Pro starts at $13.99 in Canada. Alongside the new iPads come new accessories. The Magic Keyboard has been redesigned with a larger trackpad that has haptic feedback, a thinner design, and a row of function keys. The Magic Keyboard is available in black and gray and will run $449 Canadian. Finally, Apple unveiled the new pencil, the Apple Pencil Pro. It's packed with new sensors, offering haptic feedback, squeeze technology, so you can do more without lifting your hand, as well as a gyroscope on board, so it can sense things like subtle rotations and movements.
We added a new sensor in the barrel of the pencil to enable new interactions. So now, for example, you can just squeeze it to bring up a new tool palette. And when you squeeze the pencil, a haptic engine delivers precise feedback that you can feel. A gyroscope allows you to roll the pencil for precise control of the tool you're using, like changing the orientation of a shaped pen or brush. If you ever lose Apple Pencil Pro, you can easily locate it, since it now supports Find My. And of course, it pairs, charges, and stores magnetically on the side of iPad Pro.
The Apple Pencil Pro is 169 Canadian dollars, and all of these products are available for pre-order right now, and delivery is looking like next week. So you can bet we'll go hands-on once I have all these things in our hands. Google couldn't leave Apple alone in the spotlight this week. The company announced the new Pixel 8a. Their next generation smartphone features a 6.1-inch display with up to 120 Hz refresh rate. The screen can go up to 2,000 nits of peak brightness with support for full 24-bit color depth. It has a 24-hour battery life with up to 72 hours in extreme battery saver mode with a fast charging battery and wireless charging as well. The phone features Google's Tensor G3 chip and starts at $679 for the 128 gig model and $759 for the 256 gig model. Both models will be available next Tuesday, May the 14th. In other Google news, the company is rolling out a tool that makes it easier to find and request the removal of personal contact information online. Information could include your phone number, home address, or email address from all search results. The feature is called Results About You, and it's part of Google's commitment to making search safer and giving users more control of their experience on the web. Results About You proactively monitors the web for search results that contain your personal information and allows you to request immediate removal from search. They have a dashboard as well, which will let you know if web results are actually find your contact information and they show up in search, while notifications will advise you for new results in pop-up as well. Country music legend Randy Travis has released new music for the first time since suffering from a stroke more than a decade ago, all thanks to artificial intelligence. Developers used vocal stems, that's parts of his old music from older songs, in his career to recreate his singing voice digitally. While some artists have opposed the use of AI and even petitioned against it, Travis and his wife Mary are hoping the new song can set the standard for how AI could be used in a positive way. Let's take a listen to a clip from Where That Came From, which features visuals of Randy and his band in studio, as well as his family listening and reacting to hearing his singing voice for the first time in over 10 years.
She had eyes like diamonds, and they caught the light. Oh, but they were dark and deeper than the night.
Sean, I mean, that is AI being used for absolute best way I could possibly think of, and it really entertains me to hear how I could not tell that that was actually artificially created. I'm sure your reaction is probably the same.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And of course, we always hear about the negative impacts of AI, and rightfully so. There's a lot of things to consider. But when you hear something like that and the reason why it's so special, you know, of course, we're used to this with personal voice. People have lost their voice, recreating them and giving their voice back. It's amazing. And it sounds so good as well.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing, and I'm curious to see what other type of things they do with it as well. Our question of the week, we do it every single week, Sean. We try to get the audience involved. This week, the question is, and you don't have to answer it right away, don't worry. If you could invent a new gadget to solve a daily annoyance, and it can't be Steven, what would it be and how would you use it? So if you could invent a new gadget to solve a daily annoyance, what would it be and how would you use it? Now, if you have an answer, I don't mind hearing it now, but if you want to hold on to it, I can wait as well.
No, well, the first thing that springs into my mind is the dog. Taking the dog out every day, because there's nothing worse than being woken up at 7 a.m. by a big dog face in your face telling you it's time to get... Basically, I'm bullied by my dog. So if there was something that could just take him out, that'd be great.
What do you guys think at home? Connect with us on all our social media platforms. It is at Access Tech Live. You can also email us, feedback@accesstechlive.com, and you can get involved. Sean, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we're going to dive a little deeper into Apple's Tuesday media event and find out what you think about the new iPads as well. Stick around. It's Access Tech Live.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. The show will return in less than a minute. Access Tech Live will be back in 30 seconds. This is Access Tech Live.
On Access Tech Live, Mark Aflalo with Sean Priest sitting in for Stephen Scott this week, talking all about Apple's media events. Sean, this was the first time in a couple months we've seen an announcement from Apple. The last ones were press releases, but it's the first time in almost 2 years that we're seeing new iPads, and they started the event with the iPad Air, probably I think because it's the most, I guess, entry-level iPad that kind of fits every single person. That being said, do you even use an iPad?
What a great opener. You know what? No. And we've talked about this before, me and Stephen on the show. Are tablets actually, are they dead now? I'm going to go brutal. Are they dead when it comes to people who don't care about the screen? I think tablets, iPads are particularly great for low vision, content consumption. But if you're just using a screen reader and you don't care about the screen, what else do they offer, compared to the iPhone? I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, there's no denying these are gorgeous bits of kit.
Yeah, listen, I think that we might see a little bit more in terms of the accessibility side of things when we hear about software at their Worldwide Developers Conference. It's about a month away, right? And this is what I think Apple's doing with this entire iPad kind of reshift, is they're trying to kind of explain what the lineup is and give everybody a place where they fit in the lineup. I'm on the fence in terms of thinking whether an iPad for me is really even a useful piece of kit, because your MacBooks are super powerful. Even the MacBook Air is super powerful, and they're pretty thin and portable. So do you even really need a tablet in your lineup? Now, that being said, I know there's a use case here. Listen, I know there's media consumption. I know my kids, it's a great tool for schools and, replacement for Chromebooks in education. But the thing that attracted me the most about this particular event, and what kind of intrigued me, and I think it's the hook, right? They always throw out some kind of hook to get you in there. And it's the fact that even though we heard rumors last week, that they threw the M4 chip into the new iPad Pros. And it's interesting, and the reason is so they can obviously get ahead of AI and the requirements they're going to need, but they skipped a whole generation there, and I don't think we're going to see many products with M3 anymore as everybody kind of jumps to M4.
Yeah, again, it's slightly the rollout of the Apple Silicon is a bit strange, isn't it? They seem to be pumping these things out and throwing them into devices. But I think you're absolutely right. I think the main thing here is the power in these tablets is immense. I mean, we can't make any use of it right now at all. Even the previous, was it the M2 the Pro had before? I mean, we were barely pushing that. So now this has got an M4 chip in it, and this must be to do with AI. So whatever's coming in the next OS across the board, on Mac, on iPad, on iPhone, whatever Apple have got planned for their AI, it needs this amount of power, which is exciting in itself,
Absolutely. And I think that, this was actually the first keynote that we've heard Apple use the words AI. I should go back and count it and do some kind of video on that, because it was easily a dozen times, whereas you can tell they've almost intentionally left it out of previous keynotes. They used to use, machine learning was the word they went with. Is there something that you can see, or something that you would look forward to artificial intelligence wise from Apple that maybe somebody else isn't doing? It's hard. It's always hard to, I find it's hard to envision something new beyond what's there, because everything that's out there now is already like, oh my God, I'm still trying to figure this out. But can Apple really reinvent something here other than improving Siri?
Isn't that enough? I mean, don't you think we're still in that honeymoon period with AI at the minute, right? You said, oh my God, and we're still doing that with all this AI services, no matter what it is. Oh my God, it understands what I'm trying to tell it. Oh my God, it understands the context. And we're still kind of surprised by that and impressed by that. As we were with the smart speakers when they first come out. And now when you look back, or when you use a smart speaker today, it's all a bit, yeah, okay, it's not bad.
Antiquated?
But yeah, exactly. And I feel like we're so impressed with the way it understands, the language model that it's got is fantastic. But still, I want to be able to say, hey, grab this email and do this and grab that, and, a sequence of commands, and it to understand it and be able to do that. Everything I've used so far, Copilot, for example, on Windows, I mean, it's got great potential, but so far it's just not integrated into the system. Now, if I can do that on my iPhone, just give a command to do multiple tasks, that's all I want it to do. And so far, I think, you know what, it understands me. We've got that absolutely covered. And it can even understand, objects in images and things like that. That's absolutely covered. All we need to do now is sort of set it loose on our systems. But maybe that's where the danger lies, and maybe that's where we're taking our time. But I think Apple's going to do that.
Well, we saw a couple integrations, because they did announce a couple pieces of new software. They announced Final Cut Pro for the iPad version 2. That's confusing in itself. The interesting thing about that was there was a lot of taking advantage of that M4 chip, things like removing backgrounds, audio enhancements happening in mere seconds. One of the interesting things I found, this isn't even AI related, was they actually added a Final Cut camera app that allows you to use up to 4 separate iPhones to get a multi-view production recorded onto an iPad. That's pretty cool. Like, I can see this being used by podcasters worldwide who don't want to go out and spend, $2,500 on cameras. And then they made some software updates to Logic, which is their, I call it an audio suite, but it's more of a music creation software. And this is where, again, AI shined as well. And that's the pattern I'm seeing now, is that, as you said, we're still in the infancy of what AI can do. Seeing it integrated into software in a seamless way seems like kind of the meta approach, where let's throw it in a pair of glasses, make it passive and make it easy to use. And as time goes by, we're going to include more and more complex features. Do you think that's the case?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're waiting for the next level. As I said, I still feel we're in the honeymoon period with it, but I think in the next level we're going to see it sort of almost set free, let loose upon your system. Now that's going to be scary, but Apple have got the advantage of being on device. Everything's going to stay on your device as much as it can. And yes, exactly. Well, I think that gives it more power. It can, your emails, for example, don't have to be sent out to some server somewhere. It can do it on device. And again, we're back to the power needed. And if we're talking about the iPads in particular, also, I think it's interesting. Are we going to see a move away from iPad OS and a move towards Mac OS? I mean, are we trying to...
Yeah, I think we're probably a couple of years away from that, where we'll see the iPad eventually replace the MacBook Air. I think it's inevitable. Like, there's no hiding the fact that they've got these major processors in there, and they're not going much higher on processors on the MacBook Air. Talk about accessibility for a second, because as you said, an iPad, if you're not using the screen, what's the benefit? But what about on the software side of things? What other than context, like you were talking about, where you can give it a string of things and let it work? Do you see any accessibility impacts on the way in which how would AI make your life easier using a device like that with just your voice? It's got to be more than just context.
Yeah, but I think it's a case of making it easier and making just using technology simpler for everyone with a disability or not. Of course, there's going to be issues about, voice control for people with some sort of speech impediment or speech problems or no speech at all. But, being able to type your input, whatever it is, the important is understanding the context. And with that understanding the context, though, is that I don't have to dive into settings to find something. I don't have to dive through file folder or Finder or whatever it may be to get something done. It's all about making productivity or even content consumption easier. And the way to do that is to lever the power of AI to find...
Really creating shortcuts, right? Creating shortcuts to the things you might do on a daily basis to make your life easier. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to WWDC. Again, that's their Worldwide Developers Conference that's happening just at the beginning of June. I'm curious to see where AI fits into the picture across the board, but I'm really curious to see how it affects developers. Because I can imagine if you could open a piece of software you've never used before, like Xcode, which is what they design apps in and programs, and being able to say, design me a framework for an iPhone app that does XYZ, and it just does 90% of the heavy lifting for you. And being able to code without having to actually learn how to code and being able to use your voice and give it instruction or type in instructions, that seems almost game-changing to me. And the opportunities that could give people who want to go down that road but had that block of not being able to know where to find a developer or how to develop themselves or spend the money could disappear.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, everyone's got a novel in them, right? But we all know everyone's got an app in them. Everyone's got an idea for an app. The possibility to, without any coding knowledge, to, as you say, get the 90% of the work done for you. And more importantly for me, if you could make sure that that code is also accessible through AI tests on accessibility, it could absolutely change everything. Of course, there's still going to be lots of work for, real qualified coders to do, but the ability just to play around with ideas using AI with no coding experience, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, it's going to be quite impressive. There's a conversation that started online that I followed after the iPad event, which was a suggestion that we should be pushing these big companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft to force app developers to include accessibility by design. It raised a bunch of conversation. I think it's a conversation worth having. Do you think that's something that should be done or can even be policed?
It's an interesting question. It's one that we've had in our community for the longest time. I think the NFB even came out trying to, with a guideline, trying to get Apple to say that all apps in the App Store should be accessible. And if they're not accessible, then they don't make the cut and they don't get entry. So I can actually... I think it's a great idea, but it does come down to moderation, to that policing. How do you police all that? Who's to say what app can be made accessible? If there's some sort of graphic imaging app, if there's a painting app, now I'm not saying it can't be made accessible. I'm not smart enough to say that definitely can never be accessible, because I'm always surprised by what can be made accessible. But yeah, I can see it being a really difficult thing to police.
Well, one thing I think we're sure to find out is some pretty cool tools and how AI is going to make just creating stuff in general a lot easier. And it's something that we're going to talk about with our next couple of guests, Sean, because coming up, being an influencer, is it all that's chalked up to be? I think we have some great tools out there to make anyone have that road to success online. But how easy is it? So we're going to dive right into that with a woman who says, and I quote, "I have Down syndrome, and it's the least interesting thing about me." Madison Tevlin joins us next here on Access Tech Live.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. The show will return in less than a minute. Access Tech Live will be back in 30 seconds. Now, back to Access Tech Live.
We're back. Mark Aflalo and Sean Priest sitting in for Stephen Scott this week. Madison Tevlin is a model, an actor, a content creator, influencer, public speaker, advocate, and even a television host. You may have seen her on a red carpet or perhaps somewhere else, or maybe even remember her first video singing a John Legend song, All of Me, which was seen by over 7 million people on YouTube. Madison Tevlin joins us now. Madison, welcome to Access Tech Live.
Well, thank you for having me. This is going to be so much fun speaking with you guys.
We're so excited to have you on, Madison. I got to ask you a question to start, which is, that video of you singing John Legend, over 7 million views, and it really kickstarted your career as a creator. What made that video so special for you? Why do you think it got that much traction?
I didn't really... Sorry, can you say that one more time?
What do you think made that video so special?
Can you say it one more time?
Career,
Sorry.
right? So you got 7 million people viewing that video after you were singing that. I mean, obviously it must have felt great at the time. Why do you think it was so special? Why do you think people loved it as much as they did?
I just feel like the video was so special to me, and I didn't think it would end up blowing up like that. It was only really meant for family fantasy, but when it happened, and I felt so good about it, and it was so special to me because it's my first ever song, and people down syndrome have low muscle tone, so they assume that people down syndrome can't do anything like this. But I'm proving everybody wrong, and it feels so good to do that.
I'm sure it does. But are you always chasing that next viral video then, Madison? Are you trying to get that feeling again, or are you over that now and just create content?
No, I really want that to happen even more. I want to have a chance to get all the opportunities, because the more you do, the better it is for anybody.
Earlier this year, you starred in an incredible, impactful ad called Assume That I Can for World Down Syndrome Day. Let's watch a quick clip of that right now.
Hey bartender, you assume that I cannot drink a margarita, so you don't serve me a margarita? So I don't drink a margarita. Your assumption becomes reality. And parents, you assume that I cannot live on my own, so you don't encourage me to live on my own, so I don't live on my own. Coach, you assume that I cannot hit harder, so you don't train me to hit harder, so I don't hit harder. And teacher, you assume that I cannot learn Shakespeare, so you don't teach me Shakespeare.
Old MacDonald had a farm,
so I don't learn Shakespeare. E-I-E-I-O. But hey, if all your assumptions become reality, then assume that I can drink a margarita. So you serve me a margarita, so I drink a margarita. Assume that I can live on my own, so I live on my own. Assume that I can hit harder. So I hit harder. Assume that I can learn Shakespeare. So, what fools these mortals be? I learned f***ing Shakespeare. You assume I can't swear, right?
That is an amazing piece there. Are you surprised by how, well, the reaction to that, for one thing, and how do you feel about the assume I can? I really like that take on it.
Well, I was getting a lot of responses, and everybody's relating to it now. It's so powerful, it's so moving, and that people are connecting to it, and that human connection is what it's all about. And that's what, like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I filmed in Barcelona, full 2 days of shooting, once of a lifetime experience for sure.
Do you resonate with that message? Do you actually feel like it's a representation of the way you've grown
I really do, and I think it's, sorry to cut you off, but I really do think it's very powerful, and especially for me, because it's part of life and everybody goes through this stuff. So I was just, when I was doing it, I was feeling it. I was feeling the energy. I was feeling the vibes. I was connecting with everybody. It made me feel like at home, and it made me so comfortable, and I had so much fun making this campaign.
Madison,
I just loved it because...
Go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say, I just loved it because it didn't have that sad piano music behind it, which I see in every disability piece ever I've seen. It was just so cool. I really loved it.
And I also want to add that NDSS reached out to me and asked me to do a couple self-tapes, so I submitted them. And then they asked me to do this. I got so excited. I'm like, yes, I would love to go to Barcelona to film this campaign.
Yeah, I love that because you as an actress, you go after these opportunities, and when something resonates so closely with who you are and what you do, it becomes more personal, right?
Right.
Tell me about technology. We're a tech show here. We talk a lot about technology. If it wasn't for things like YouTube, obviously people wouldn't have discovered you the way they did. Obviously, you would have been discovered otherwise. But how has technology impacted what you do? Does it make your life easier? Is it more complicated?
It's much easier, and everyone's connecting. Like that, it goes back to that human connection and talking about like to spread my voice and spreading awareness for everything that's going on right now. If we didn't have technology and did not have social media, it would be very hard for people to express their voices once they have to share with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. What difficulties do you encounter when you try and come up with that next viral video, or just trying to grow your career?
Can you rephrase that? Sorry.
Yeah, how do you go about trying to grow your career, to keep going, even with how much content you need to do?
I always say to myself, go for my dreams. I always go for my goals. The better it is for me. I just keep doing what I love. And I just love everything that I do and everything about myself.
Madison, you have a great quote, and people repeat this often when they talk to you, which, it says, having Down syndrome is the least interesting thing about you. So I've got to ask you the question, which is, what do you think is the most exciting or interesting thing about you?
The most exciting thing about me is my personality, for sure, because it really comes out and really shines through to so many people. And everything you see in me is what you see in my mother, because she made me to the person I am today.
Talk to me about your online community, because you've built an incredible online following of people who really, relate to your message. Do you feel that sense of community? Do you interact with people often about that?
I do talk to a lot of people and networking and really doing what I do. And I just do what I do best.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, listen, the 7 million views on one video, and obviously striving to get more and more following is obviously something that we all strive to. Are there any particular people that you've met over this journey of yours? And you have so much incredible things ahead of you. Anything you've met, or anybody in particular you've met? Any stories that made a personal connection for you?
I have a big support system. I have everyone supporting me, that everything that I do. But my big people are my parents, my mom and dad, because they do everything for me. And I just love them so much. And meeting those big celebrities, I was also in a movie called Champions It's a basketball movie. I'm the only girl on the team of friends. And I really look up to Woody Harrelson because he really helped me to become a better actor, and he pushed me and made me see that I want to do this for the rest of my life and follow this journey.
And it's a great journey. Talk to us about acting a bit, because you're starring in an AMI original program, Squeaky Wheel Canada, starting this June 24th. What was that experience like for you? Did you have a good time?
I really did. It was a great experience. I was vibing with everybody there. I felt so comfortable as well. The second one, I was Sarah, and I played Lucy and Sarah. And I had so much fun with these characters and playing off different parts of me and showing them that I could do anything.
Well, you can definitely do anything, and we're looking forward to obviously seeing Squeaky Wheel in June. If people want to follow you, it's at Madison Tevlin pretty much on all our social media. Is there anything coming up that you want to talk about, or is Squeaky Wheel what we're paying attention to right now, what we're focusing on?
So yes, I do. I'm hoping to get season 2 of my show called Who Do You Think I Am? And I'm actually going to New York this weekend for the Webby Awards. I won 3 categories: Best Influencer and Best Creator.
That is so cool.
Wow.
Congratulations. I remember seeing that. I totally forgot to put that in my script. But that's going to be fun accepting those awards. Is that the first time you've gone on a stage like that to accept awards like that?
Second time for sure.
That's awesome.
This is probably my first time acting up thinking about it.
You know, and what's great about the Webby Awards is that it's community that votes. It's not about any organization or anything. It's really about the people out there who are showing their support to you, and what better way they can do it. Well, congratulations on all your success. Thank you so much for joining us. People at home, of course, can follow you on all social media at Madison Tevlin, and we look forward to having you back on.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
When we come back here at Access Tech Live, another creator returned to social media to share her experiences when the retinitis pigmentosa and Usher syndrome she experienced that in her life, and built an amazing community of supporters worldwide. And we're going to talk about all that and more when we come back here on Access Tech Live. Stick around.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. The show will return in less than a minute. Access Tech Live will be back in 30 seconds. Back to Access Tech Live.
Back on the show, Mark Aflalo with Sean Priest sitting in for the vacationing Stephen Scott. Why does he get to take a vacation, Sean? I don't know. You and I are on vacation.
I know. It's a disgrace, quite frankly. He only does a show almost every day. He doesn't deserve a holiday.
No, definitely not. We're going to have to take this up with HR some way, shape, or form. We're talking about content creators, and I think you and I are, we don't like to admit it. I think we call ourselves broadcasters, but we're in this business creating content before there was a YouTube, before there were podcasts. Do you feel like a content creator with Cody Fingers I put up?
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Content creator. It feels like that's a new term for the youth, for the kids, but it's not. It actually makes much more sense than just a broadcaster, because content can live anywhere. But yeah, I still kind of cringe at calling myself a content creator.
Well, Mara Lauren Hutchinson is a legally blind mother, wife, and content creator. She works with the CNAB as a support group leader, and she's found her voice as a disability advocate. I was watching an episode of We Are One, an AMI original series, and she was starring in that with her whole family. But she's joining us now all the way from Colombia. Mara, thanks for joining us on Access Tech Live.
Hi, guys. Good afternoon over there.
I hope you didn't get too much jet lag on your journeys. But tell us about yourself and how and why you became a content creator.
It's so funny how you guys said the word cringe, but it all started with honestly just posting photos of me on Instagram. And I tell this to everybody all the time. I transfer it over to Facebook at that time. That was like maybe about 11, 12 years ago, when social media was not even a big thing yet, especially Instagram. And then as you start to kind of show yourself and edit these photos and leave it on Instagram, more people started to join the platform, and more people started to connect and was kind of pretty much reaching out and saying, oh my gosh, I have the same white cane as you. And then I just thought about leaving my whole content there, my photos, and along the lines of maybe sharing how I feel, my journey with my disabilities. And I don't even know how content creator came about, because I was just pretty much just sharing my life and my feelings about every aspect of my life. And then now everyone's like, you're a content creator. And I'm like, I am? I don't know, but I'm just me.
It's really interesting. So it sort of came about organically, right? It wasn't something you set out to do necessarily.
No, because at that time, I'm telling you, nobody was on Instagram. I was editing my photos on Instagram because I needed an editing app, and just using that to transfer it over to Facebook. And next thing you know, Instagram got so big and I left Facebook. And then as the years went on, more opportunities came along, and especially with connecting with the community and organizations, now people just say, oh, content creator Mara. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's what you call it. But I just say I'm just being me.
So if you fell into being a content creator, would you say you also fell into the term of, or the label, I should say, of disability advocate?
That I could stand for. I stand by that because in our world, in our community, we need a lot of us. We need people speaking up, whether you're just starting to be a content creator and so on. I feel like sharing your story and your experiences and your journey in life is a huge, huge thing. And it changes a lot of people's mindset, and even people outside of the disability community, where I feel like they get a chance to see what life is really all about in our shoes. And that I really do stand for, because it's so important to really share your journey and your story, and the power of our voices is amazing.
You know, Mara, with all the negativity that comes around social media, this is probably one of the more positive things, is building community and being able to connect with people anywhere, regardless of borders. And I think that technology really has impacted that. How has it impacted your life and what you do?
Well, first of all, how crazy is it that you can just pick up your phone and click a button and the camera is rolling, right? Capturing, let's say, my son, or picking up the phone and just being like, hi, wanting to see your friend from across the world, and how are you? What's up? What are you up to? It's just amazing how technology has evolved, especially with Pixel, the talkback, guided frames, everything accessibility wise in terms with the phone is truly powerful and amazing, and it helps all of us. So I don't know what I would do without technology nowadays, to be honest with you.
Oh, I totally agree. It's changed everything for us, for people with disabilities. I think it's changed everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting when we're talking about tech, but you've got an amazing social media following. I mean, where, like you said, you're able to share your stories and your experiences. Do you think you'd be able to do this without social media at all? I mean, how would you get your stories out there?
I don't need, to be honest with you, how would I know? Because reaching out to, let's say, then is there such thing as a newspaper now? I mean, I don't know, right? Like, it's so crazy. How do we reach out to people nowadays? How do we even, for me to build this platform, it all started because I felt very alone. And when somebody back then was reaching out to me, even to this day, to say, I cannot believe I found you. And it's so amazing to see that you're living life, which means I could live my life as well and continue living life. That is truly amazing to me and so powerful, because back then, if I felt alone, how much more decades ago without social media, right? And now you can just, let's say, pick up your phone and just tap in somebody's name and be like, she really motivates me to keep on going. And I don't know. I would probably be not around, to be honest with you, because back then, feeling so alone led me to be in a really, really dark space. And I never want anyone to ever feel what I felt. And maybe that's why using social media is such a powerful thing in a positive way, because you get to see so many people continue to live life and build a family, let's say, have a job, and even just a simple walk with your white cane or meeting up with other disabilities community, let's say. It's just truly amazing how social media has evolved and become a powerful thing. I just say it's a powerful thing now because I have met so many incredible people, and they're from different parts of the world. And I wouldn't get that here back then.
Mara, you know, when you start doing this, you know, obviously you felt alone and you put your content out there. Do you feel that this evolved now, where you're now giving advice to other people who are looking to get into the same thing that you're doing? Do you talk to a lot of people? Do you interact with your community a lot?
Oh, of course, even outside of the disability community, because I always tell the world that I am more than my disabilities. I don't want anyone to always just look at me as that legally blind woman, because I'm a mom, I'm a girlfriend, I'm a wife. I'm more than what dealing with my disabilities, and we're capable of doing it all. So I say, you know what, whether it's, let's say, for the workout community, let's say, or the mom community, the disabled community, I mean, there's so many of us, right? And it's so nice to kind of relate to different stories and know that, oh my gosh, I felt what you're going through, or that happened to me too. And it's just nice to see, like I said, like you're not alone in whatever journey you're dealing with and going through. So it's just always nice to see that.
You talked about the mom community, Mara. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. We did our gift guide last week, but I'd love to know what you're looking forward to this Mother's Day.
Well, I never realized, I've always realized how important moms are. Oh my gosh, my son's waking up. But I never realized how, I always knew parents are so important, right? But not until I became a mom myself. And I'm a person where I celebrate every day. I always say Mother's Day, Father's Day is every single day, because it's hard work. And especially being disabled. And I'm just looking forward to celebrating with my family and honoring my mom. I recently lost my mom, and I'm always just celebrating life now to the fullest. So I don't know, I'm in Colombia. My husband's birthday is on Saturday, then it's Mother's Day. So we're gonna chill, relax, and just enjoy ourselves and have a good time.
Enjoy your family. Enjoy the celebrating. Keep doing what you're doing. If people want to follow you online, where should they go?
Atemara, so it's Atemara. It's just on Instagram. Ate means big sister. It's pretty much big sister. Ate in Tagalog is big sister. Atemara. So Atemara on Instagram.
Well, we're following you, and we look forward to continue following your journey and having you back on the show. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me, guys.
Coming up, our question of the week: if you could invent a new gadget to solve a daily annoyance, Sean, what would that be, and how would you use it? Your answers after a quick break here on Access Tech Live.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. The show will return in less than a minute. Access Tech Live will be back in 30 seconds. This is Access Tech Live.
Back on Access Tech Live, Mark Aflalo with Sean Priest sitting in for Stephen Scott. You survived, Sean. It wasn't, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
I am petrified, but yes, no, it is.
Oh, come
you are
on.
amazing, Mark. Well done.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here and sitting in for Stephen. Again, we'll have to take this up with HR as to why he took vacation for 3 weeks. I'm not sure what that's about. But every week we throw out a question. We do it on social media, at Access Tech Live, across the board. And the question this week was, if you could invent a new gadget to solve a daily annoyance, what would it be and how would you use it? Now, you said walking your dog. So you want a robot, like a Rosie from the Jetsons?
Yeah, of course. Don't we all? Absolutely. Or I've been thinking about it. I do take this seriously. I have been thinking about it. How about a device, a door de-ajarer? That's a proper term I've just made up.
Door closer?
Yeah, exactly. There's to me, a
like
jar door
is your door closed?
Oh yeah, has it been invented already? I didn't think of that. No.
Well,
okay,
details.
How about something that sprays bubble wrap over any lamppost or any street furniture before I walk into it? There you go. You can have that one.
So like an airbag for your life, just the personal airbag.
Oh no, that's been invented already as well. Yes, an airbag for my face.
Okay, well, I mean, I do appreciate that you didn't scar yourself before the show. You tend to do that before we go on.
Yes,
Becky wrote us and said, I'd like some sort of gadget that would match and fold my clean socks. I completely relate to that. A gadget for that would be absolutely phenomenal, especially the matching part. The folding, I mean, do you really care if your socks are folded?
Do you fold socks? Is that a thing? I've just got a drawer full of just single socks.
Bundle them into a ball? Isn't that what people do?
Oh, well, if you're going to be posh and upper class about it, no, just have a drawer full of single
Just a drawer
socks.
full of socks. You know, I tend to buy the same socks over and over so I can just dig into the drawer and just figure it out. Eric writes us. Eric writes, a child taser and shock collar, LOL. Yeah, I hope the LOL is there. I don't know if that's necessarily an appropriate gadget.
Wow.
But
Yes.
I do know Eric and his kids, and I can relate a bit sometimes. Melanie writes, the stupidometer or stupidometer would remove the stupid out of life and people. What I mean by this, of course, is the ignorance. I mean, who doesn't want that around them to make sure that everybody around them is a little bit more, I don't know, attentive to it?
How would that work? Are we talking just in real life, or would that just be like online presence? Because I want it in both, actually. That sounds amazing.
Maybe AI can solve this. Maybe we can make some phone calls and see if we can work this into our meta frames or something. That could be kind of cool. Again, the question of the week, the question of the week that we're talking about this week is, if you could invent a new gadget to solve a daily annoyance, what would it be and how would you use it? Brett writes, a device that attaches to people who work in public office that shocks them hard if they're caught in a lie or defers them off the question that is asked of them. Okay, this whole shock collar thing for humans, I'm not for this, okay? I just want to put that on record to everybody paying attention. Don't blast us afterwards. I don't approve of shock collars.
It seems our audience are all for it.
Yeah, they seem to just want to knock some sense into people, which is interesting. Here's one from Sarah. This sounds familiar. An anti-McDonald's face mask, which you couldn't remove. This one is just for Sean to stop stuffing those triple cheeseburgers in his mouth. Yeah. Do you know Sarah by chance?
Unbelievable. Yes, that's my partner. She didn't know I was coming on this show, and she still answered that question. That's unbelievable. I love a cheeseburger.
Isn't how timing works out just beautifully? Oh God! Well, you guys, if you want to answer the question, we're going to keep it up there on social media, and you can let us know. Again, if you could invent a new gadget to solve any daily annoyance, what would it be, and how would you use it? If you good answers or not, we'll bring them on next week. Maybe we can do that. Sean, thank you for being with me. I had a great time with you, and you did a very good job sitting in for Stephen.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm not a patch on Stephen Scott, but I had a great time as well. Thank you so much.
Well, it's our pleasure. Thank you to Mara Lauren Hutchinson, Madison Tevlin, of course, and Stephen Scott, Sean Priest, my guest co-host this week. I'm going to call everybody Stephen at one point or not. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We hope you're celebrated this weekend and get a nice bouquet of flowers. We will catch you next week when we're hopefully go hands-on with that new iPad Pro, the Magic Keyboard, and Apple Pencil. Fingers are crossed. Here's hoping something goes up in my mailbox. See y'all next week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to Access Tech Live. Follow us online on all social media at Access Tech Live. Email us feedback@accesstechlive.com. Hosted by Stephen Scott in Glasgow and Mark Aflalo in Montreal. Written by Stephen Scott and Mark Aflalo. Producer, Mark Aflalo. Live show director, Anastasia Spalding-Stenhouse. Technical director, Caitlin Robinson. Audio, Jordan Mulgrave. Live graphics and playback, James Kennedy. Graphics coordinator, Eliza Rocco. Integrated Described Video Specialist, M. Williams. Supervising producer, Michelle Dudas. Produced in collaboration with Aflalo Communications Inc. and Double Tap Productions. Copyright 2024, Accessible Media Inc.
An AMI original production.
Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. Access Tech Live will return in less than 2 minutes. Access Tech Live is in a commercial break. The show will return in less than a minute. Access Tech Live will be back in 30 seconds.